you've been deceived by Hollywood for the past 100 years. The polished cowboys and free-spirited legends are nothing but an expensive lie. The truth about the West isn't glittering under the sunset. It stinks, is impoverished, and teems with gun-wielding kids. Welcome to the raw truth of the Wild West. Golden sunsets and a dashing cowboy with a gleaming gun are what you see on screen. But history doesn't use color filters. The truth has no epic soundtrack, only the smell of sweat, horse manure, and cheap liquor. Being an outlaw isn't an adventure. It's a long, drawn-out death sentence, shrouded in dust and despair. Today, we're going to peel back that polished facade. Behind the dramatic gunfights, you think they're rich, but they're not. You think they're cool, but if you stand next to a West legend for even a second, you'll want to take a shower immediately. They weren't brilliant criminal minds. They were just angry, hungry kids with guns in their hands. The children of dust legends don't begin in peace. They begin in mud. There were no idyllic farms or warm families. They grew up reeking of hard liquor and violence in cheap boarding houses with flimsy walls. The floor was their bed, and the sky their roof. Imagine you were only 6 years old. Children nowadays learn the alphabet, but Western children learn how to survive. Their first jobs were shoveling horse manure on the streets or carrying water for a piece of bread. School was a luxury, while survival was a necessity. Instead of reading, they learned to read facial expressions to recognize cheats at cards or when an enemy was about to draw a gun. The only lesson they had to learn was that weakness meant death. Billy the Kid killed someone at 15 and died at 21. Jesse James wasn't a powerful leader, but just a young man caught in the vortex of post-war violence. They carried guns not to wreak havoc on the world, but because it was the only thing that allowed them to control their lives. In a world without protection, violence was the easiest language to learn. The grime of the frontier Hollywood never shows you the filth either. Outlaws wore unwashed shirts for weeks and sweat-soaked boots. Bathing was a luxury because water was only for drinking, not for washing. They rinsed their mouths with cheap water or alcohol, causing their teeth to fall out by the time they were 19 or 20. Their food was as hard as wood, and cans of beans sometimes reeked of death when opened. In desperation, they ate anything they hunted, from squirrels to forest birds. Whiskey was the only medicine to numb the pain and cleanse wounds. They poured it on their wounds and drank the rest. The most ridiculous aspect is the looting. The films show trains laden with gold, but in reality, it was a terrible business decision. Outlaws planned for weeks only to find a few letters and some loose change. One gang of robbers went on a shooting spree to break open a safe on a train, only to find stale loaves of bread inside. One of them laughed until he cried. Crime in the West wasn't the road to riches, but the shortest path to a shallow grave in the desert. Getting shot was commonplace, but survival was a miracle. No hospitals, no decent doctors. People used the same tools used for horses to treat people. Infection was a sure death sentence. No anesthetic, just a piece of skin to bite on and a little whiskey. Ultimately, there were no retirement plans for these legends. Most didn't live past 30. You can't just walk away because your name is on every wall. There was a man who tried to change his life by opening a bakery in Kansas. 3 months later, a bounty hunter noticed his limp and shot through the window. The outlaw died with a pastry in his hand. There was no glamour, no peace, only nameless graves in the dust. They chose that life because, for a poor child in the mud, life itself was a prison. The outlaw life offered only one thing: freedom. It was a dangerous, dirty, and short-lived freedom, but it was still freedom. And the moment someone chooses chaos over shackles is the true turning point of history.